Faster for me to order it on my phone and then go in and pick it up than wait through the drive-thru.
That's how Dunkin's are too, yeah.
So I just pulled over to Myers and ordered it and picked it up. All right, it's 8 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order. And John, they are. Okay, good. Okay. Sorry, our parks director is here. Just hold it, right?
Well, you can tell Cassie wasn't.
Good.
Thanks, Nick.
John, can you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor, you want to lead us?
Heavenly Father, we again thank you for this wonderful time of the year with spring, flowers, trees, grass, everything coming back to life. Lord, for the new addition to the Weir family, we pray that you continue to bless them with happiness and health. And Lord, now we just ask your blessing upon this meeting today. Give wisdom where it's needed. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Before we start, we should probably announce, Pastor didn't know about that.
Okay, yes, so Cassie, our parks director, is off right now because she just had her baby. So she will, Erin, her assistant, has been running the parks department while she is gone, but brand new baby, and we're really excited about that.
His name's Arthur.
Oh, no. I know, yeah.
So that's an announcement. Any other announcements or correspondences from the board? John?
I do not have any.
Sue?
No.
Mike?
Nothing worth mentioning.
All right. Department heads, any announcements or correspondences we need to be aware of? All right. Well, then we'll move into meeting guests. Meeting guests are those that have pre-registered to speak to the board. We ask that you limit the conversation and comments to 10 minutes. And we will start first with Crystal Shanley with the Community Garden.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Crystal Shanley. I am a resident here in Brimfield. Also, work with Family and Community Services, a retired senior volunteer program. The board, as some guests may have seen me back here last summer and the beginning of the fall, we talked about applying for a community garden. At that time, it was through Serve Ohio grant. It was limited to $1,500. We were denied that grant, which I find is a blessing in disguise because now we can reapply. And we found a grant through AARP called a Livable Community Grant. And it's an opportunity where we can partner with organizations to beautify and change landscape to make it more usable. So in working with Cassie and working with Nick and the entire community here in Brimfield, we applied for a grant submitted yesterday, yay, for just shy of $30,000. And it's going to be right here on this property. What it's going to include is a walkway leading down to the garden space. If any of you, I know Dave probably has, but if you walk down that path, it's kind of steep. So in thinking of safety, we have a quote from Bowers Landscaping to install a walking path. He's going to keep it nature inspired, so it's going to be using Holland landscape pavers, those stone pavers. And it's going to be leveled out with big steps, so nice for people to walk. They'll walk and go down a little bit, sit, rest, go down a little bit. Go down to a 10 by 10 patio sitting area, and then all the way out towards that back lot, which I think there's eventually plans for that back lot. So we're going to try to connect this building down through. So what's coming off that pathway? We have a community garden space. We propose to have 3 8x8 walk into raised garden beds where you walk into the U shape. And they have the nice animal barriers already built into it. So it's tall enough to keep all of our deer and our wonderful wildlife out of that garden. And that'll be for herbs, vegetables, and fruit. And then beyond the garden, so coming off the patio, working down towards that nature area, we are installing a sensory peace garden passage. So it's going to entice folks to enjoy through sight, smell, and touch different flowers with aromas like honeysuckle and jasmine and beautiful colors, Gerber daisies and gardenias and a bunch of beautiful colors to liven up the space. Right now, so submission was submitted yesterday ahead of time, so really good rates grants. we were like 4 hours ahead of time, which is amazing. Usually it's like 1 minute before the grants due, so we were excited about that. We do have full support of the board. Nick provides a wonderful letter of support, showing that we've been active in the community up until now, and we continue to do more with this garden. And so I'm gonna think positive, when we get awarded, we'll be notified in the middle of May if we're awarded, when we're awarded. And funds will be distributed mid-June. And so in talking with Bowers Landscaping, he has tentatively put us on his calendar for July to start with that process. So long story short, we're hoping to have a welcome ceremony, ribbon cutting type thing sometime maybe in August, depending on how quickly we can get everything installed. The goal for the garden space is going to be sweat equity. So initially we'll have a lot of hands on deck to install the community garden, to fill the dirt, plant the vegetables and the herbs and the fruit. Same with the Peace Garden Passage. We're going to really work together with the community and volunteers through our program to install the flowers and everything. And then long-term goal is that members of the community, along with our RSVP volunteers, will provide sweat equity where they can take what they plant. And anything that's left over, we were thinking once a week, members of the Brimfield Community Cupboard would come over and harvest and share those items with the food cupboard. So we were thinking either every Tuesday or every other Tuesday, because they never chooses if there's with the cupboard. So anything harvested would be able to be used for those 2 days. So we're very, very excited about it, and we sat in on a webinar through AARP. They received thousands and thousands of applications. And so we originally going in thought of applying for around $2,000. And one of the examples they gave was somebody redid a downtown space. The grant was for $50,000. So we're thinking we can't go with $2,500 if they're giving away $50,000 grant. So we think that we're pretty strong. Letter of support definitely helped. We had photographs. I was here with Aaron one day with the landscaper, and we were taking photographs of the space, so we included that in the proposal. So fingers crossed we get that, and no matter what I hear, I'll let the board know as well.
How many grants will they award?
So they did 2,000 grants last year, out of around $20,000 to $25,000 submitted. So they said the stronger the grant, the more information, the more it's geared towards community enrichment is what they go towards. So I was thinking we check all those categories, which is why we enhance it with the Peace Garden, that sensory Peace Garden. I know another important part was to keep the space nature rich and not commercial. So we wanted to make sure we built that in so that whatever plans the township has moving forward, we're able to kind of work that in.
I think it's a great opportunity, and this is, as a township, we work with limited funds, so when we're able to partner with groups and get grants like this, it's an amazing opportunity to bring people together.
And we're not asking for any money, so I do want to say that. We're not coming to you guys asking for any money. We might use your water, but we did account for 2 rain barrels, one in the grant and one being donated to Portage Park District. So those rain barrels will help. We accounted for Rubbermaid tote to keep on property, and they approved that for us. We were happy about that. So we could store all of our tools in there, and we'll work out a lock system so any volunteers here knows the combination for the lock. So yeah, we're excited about it. And we're working with local clubs and groups too. So Lions clubs, we talked about Brimfield Community Cupboard. We're going to tap into the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts clubs too, because we feel there could be opportunities that's not just one and done. We want this to be a forever thing for the township. So thank you.
Thank you for the update.
Sure.
All right, next on our list today is Jonathan Harris with Portage County Library. How are you, sir?
Oh, fantastic.
I'm excited to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here, not asking for votes for a refreshing change of pace. But I'm still wearing my either asking for money or asking for favors jacket, so do that. So we've got good news. We're, for the first time ever, actually locally funded, which means that we get to do some fun stuff. We get to increase hours at all of our locations. Later today, I get to finish up the quote for a new bookmobile for the areas that don't have branches. And we get to start talking to communities about setting up a new branch location somewhere, which is why I'm coming to y'all first. We do miss having a branch down in the Brimfield area. It's something that, I understand back when our budget got cut, the local government fund got cut back in 2009 wasn't a sustainable option. We're in a position where we think it is again. And we would very much like to set up shop in Brimfield. Our deal is that the community has to provide the space and we provide the service. The service that we're looking to provide at this point is at least 48 hours a week, so 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Fully staffed, fully stocked. Basically our deal is that if a community will provide us the space, everything, if you pick up the building, turn it upside down and shake it, everything that falls out is something that we provide. Obviously all the materials as well as, public access, computers, Wi-Fi for the community, programming, obviously the staff. Those are things that we're looking to invest back in this community again. So I just wanted to come out to see about getting that conversation started.
So as you and I had talked about this and I wanted you to come talk to the board so we could get some clarification as we try to start to hunt for that location,
Yeah.
potentially bring it here to Brimfield. If the township is providing the physical building, who's gonna be responsible for utilities? I know we'd be responsible for maintenance of the building. Who's gonna handle the utilities?
We pick up utilities here. So,
Okay.
That's something that we pick up pretty much at all of our locations because we understand that, running a bunch of, between the high-speed internet line and us paying for that, between the amount of, electricity it takes to keep everything running, we always pick up utilities at locations.
The next question that came up in discussion was, if we ascertain a location, would the district be interested in entering into some type of contract where there's no cash flow, but hey, by us providing this, you're going to guarantee 48 hours of service a week or whatever it is on a yearly basis?
Yeah, we do have lease agreements with most of our organizations.
Okay.
We're getting one because, so let's see, a Wyndham branch is a little bit weird because the village pays the rent on an area run by a nonprofit that we're set up in. But we've got a lease agreement with them. We deal with the city of Aurora. Every year we get a lease agreement from Randolph Township as well.
Okay.
So that's something that, we're generally good with. We do those on the whole, I think most of them are year to year.
Okay.
But some are, I think Aurora's a 3-year lease or something like that right now.
And what type of, so obviously books are there for people to rent
Yeah.
books and internet access, but is there going to be programming available, like
That
classes for
depends on the
seniors? Okay.
We're all for it. I will say, because I know that when we chatted, there's a question on square footage and that sort of thing.
Right.
That may depend on the space.
Okay.
And what else is available around. For instance, our smallest branch over in Randolph, the building itself is, I think it was a converted service garage back, in its original form. It's got enough room for some materials and a couple of staff, and, a couple of patrons too. But what it doesn't have is room for doing storytime programming, doing any kind of book clubs inside that building. So in that case, what we use is the community center that's right behind the building for those.
Okay.
So it really depends on the space that's available as far as what we're able to offer. We're able to be a bit flexible if, there isn't something in the, location itself, but a walkable, easily walkable distance, it isn't that bad.
Okay.
But yeah, what we can provide does depend somewhat on the space, but generally all of our branches have, not just programs for children, like story times and summer reading, but programs for adults, programs for seniors, for job seekers, general community interest stuff that we do.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a few, okay, say we do find a facility
Yeah.
and it requires some kind of build out or something, who bears that cost?
Generally, that's on the community. That's one of the things that we've run in with them a little bit. There's a building that they would kind of like us to move into because they think it would be cheaper, and the issue is that, the work hasn't been done on the building itself yet. But that is generally something that is picked up by the local community.
Okay, and then just a general question, because talked back and forth with different people, and what are the numbers with libraries? Are they the positive or the negative? Are people attending or?
So it's been a little bit of work getting people back out after a pandemic. But I will say we've had steady growth back to pre-pandemic numbers in the last couple of months. Honestly, not having people in the buildings for the better part of a year threw a monkey wrench into all of our statistics
Right.
is the downside.
Right.
So I can't give you accurate numbers since really 2019.
Okay. Yeah, and one thing I think, I don't know if you remembered, I mean, storytelling was a pretty big thing at the
Yeah,
library we had.
well, yeah, we had,
We had the cops up and we had everybody
with
up.
the dog and reading to the dog,
Yeah, it seemed like it was always pretty well attended, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it was hard to do anything in that space
Right.
because we didn't have a lot of room. It could have had, because we had a little computer corner, we could have done a computer class there easily enough. But adult programming was, up the plaza in a space owned by, who was it? Yeah, so.
Well, I know, yeah, the whole thing with libraries anywhere, I mean, I can't remember the last time it was at one because I am on my phone, but I think you have to reinvent the library because you gotta, like you sound like you're doing.
Yeah,
Well, and I think demographics have changed in our community where we have the younger families that look for those book clubs, that look for those things for kids to do, but also for our senior population as technology changes and if we're able to provide service to them.
A lot of people don't have computers, believe it or not.
Yeah, so this is a free place that they can get on if they need to get to a computer.
yeah,
Have
because I
assistance with it.
remember when we had the branch here, we had people who would stop in. I remember one time at least, there was somebody in an RV or something like that. They stopped in to use the library to check their email. This was back before this was common and all, but free Wi-Fi. So, and the computer access. So that's.
Well, it was clearly an asset. I mean, the one thing, we've all talked about is we're trying to really develop our town center. Right now, you have a soccer field that's for geese fodder. We have nothing to really attract. I mean, we got no restaurants, we got no coffee houses, we got nothing. So we need we're all pretty firm on trying to develop a town center concept. I mean, nothing against Walmart and all that. I want something connected with sidewalks and trees and beautiful lights and something.
And I think a library could be that potential fit to create a space for people to come together, so.
Well, I think I think it needs more research for our community. I would like to see some kind of a statistical report of usage because we have a library in Mogador, we have one in Talmadge, we got Kent Free Library. Both of our schools have libraries in them. And I'm concerned about how much usage are people, because you've got the Facebook, you've got internet, you've got all this other things that people are pulling their information from instead of just going to a live personal sit down library. I do go to some board meetings at the Kent Free Library. And I've seen at that time when I'm there, like from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, I don't see very many people there as far as how big the building is and the facility that they have to offer. I don't see the usage. So before I would really, I just need to have more research to find out what our residents need and what they want.
That's absolutely understandable. The one thing that I will say as far as, the other libraries in the area, with the exception of the school libraries, so, we're talking the ones that are open to all of the public. The difference between us as opposed to Mogador, as opposed to Talmadge, Kent Free Library, the thing that I can say now is that as of a couple of days ago, you're already paying for us as opposed to them. So we think this is a good way to make sure that, your community gets the value out of those tax dollars. But we can absolutely put together something.
Yeah, I'd really like to see some stats on that.
I see, and I can just say from my personal experiences with Kent Free Library, it's a great library.
It is.
But on Saturdays when I was studying, Saturday morning's good luck finding a table there, unless you're first person in the door, right? And otherwise, you're in a pretty public area. They're pretty busy. And then for kids, the school libraries are nice, but they only let you take a couple books. My kids, I can tell you, will take 20 books from the library every week, and they read through them, and we drop them off, and we go back and do it again. So I think there's a lot of families still utilizing them, maybe just not in the fashion that we might see during the midday hours.
Anyway, just wanted to come and see if I could make that conversation started, and make sure that we get some more information out your way. We'll look at
And we were
specific demographics as well as our system as a whole.
And we're looking at minimum 2,500 square foot, correct, from that?
That would be preferable.
Okay.
We've operated in less, but it does get tricky without programming space at that point.
All right, any other questions from the board or department heads on this project? All right,
Thank you for having me.
thank you. We'll still be in talks. All right, moving on to our next meeting guest, Sarah. Floor is yours.
Hi, Frank. I was here, I don't even know how long ago. There's a new neighbor that built on a property that was swampland. Emery is also neighboring to this property. They wanted to divert their water. We called the county, we got them to stop it. Well, the guy that was running the county retired for soil and water. So now we are dealing with Eric. And you know what, it was all fine. But just the other day, they started digging and they're going to put in a retention ditch. And I spoke to the neighbor that is mostly, I don't know, the neighbor that is mostly affected is in between our two properties. Now our properties meet back. So this neighbor that's mostly affected, we have, since this new property has been built, it was a swampland. They wanted to divert their water all the way into all of these other properties, which is not where it has ever naturally flowed. It has always stayed on their land. But when they built, it made the water flow differently. We have contacted Portage County, and now with Eric, he has been absolutely atrocious to deal with. So we are wanting to figure out how to, the owner of this new property specifically said, I hope to God that it overflows the road with this retention ditch so that they have to, the township, has to put in some kind of drainage system along Congress Lake Road. I find that pretty upsetting considering that we just got the road redone and we have washed out my driveway 3 years since they built, so two and a half years. We have washed out my entire driveway multiple years in a row, and I have to repair it every single year. And these people want to destroy the brand new road that was put in. She said it specifically. I mean, so I wanted to bring it to, all of you that these people that are putting in a house on property that was built 5 foot off of elevation from the original, if you look at, the topographical map, they were supposed to build 5 foot up and they did not. And now they have a big water issue. And now it's becoming not only all of the other properties that are around us, but it will be the road. I mean, if they're gonna put in a retention ditch, I don't believe that amount of water from their back pond, which also has not been permitted, and I don't know who permits that, but Eric at Portage was basically saying, nobody permits a huge pond. Nobody permits the elevation or, inspects the elevation. Something has to be done so that those things are inspected, and I don't want to get in a lawsuit with these people. None of our neighbors want to get into a lawsuit with them. We're just trying to make the water where it naturally had flowed, flow there. But when they excavate all this land and then they're gonna push it, we have had them pumping with a gas pump going back into Mogador Reservoir behind our properties, which, isn't that an EPA violation? Can you just pump water wherever you want it for months? I mean, this has been 6, even more months that they've just pumped manually into a preserve. So do we need to get the EPA? Do we need to get Akron involved? I mean, because it's Akron City property, correct, behind us, which is Mogador Reservoir?
Yes.
Mogador Reservoir?
Mhm.
Yeah. So wouldn't they be involved in having an excess water flow being put into their property? And that's their backup water. So I just want to bring it to everybody's attention that, this property was built without, really knowing how wet it was. And I don't want it to affect everybody else's property. I'm standing here on behalf of my neighbors and the community. I don't want to get into a lawsuit. That's not what we want. And I know that's what everybody has been telling us, but that's not okay. Who should have inspected it, and who should have said, no, you can't build at that, level or that property. And now all of us are, my neighbor in between us, her basement got flooded for the first time ever, and she's been there for, 30 years probably?
That one, someone else lived there,
I think
but I don't know.
she moved in there in the 80s, so it's just really sad that other properties are getting affected by this new home getting built.
So, as we've looked into this issue, our ability as a township is very limited. We've talked with the county, we've talked with various sources, and our responsibility is the preservation of the roads. And I know it's not the best answer. I know it's not what anybody wants to hear. It's the preservation of
But she
people's.
wanted the road to get overflowed.
Right. And so that's a piece that we can look into. However, we don't make that determination of the impact on the road. Soil and Water and the engineer will come out, look at that, and then coordinate with Dave and tell Dave, this is what should be installed to protect the roadway and the roadway only. So the engineer will design, if needed, some type of disbursement of that if it's needed. Water that ends up on personal properties is outside of the purview of the township. It's a soil and water issue. However, in Portage County, it has been common practice that Soil and Water will tell you that we're not going to deal with it. It is a individual resident problem. You need to sue each other to deal it out in common pleas court.
That's crazy.
I know. I don't agree with it.
So if it goes over another person's property and it goes over their driveway and destroys it, if it goes over the road and destroys it.
When it comes to the roadway, we have a responsibility to protect the roadway. So that's where we have to
If it
interact.
goes over the driveway and destroys it, nobody has any responsibility other than just suing them.
Right. Unfortunately, that's how it's, and the issue is, and the issue is brought to the commissioners, because when a building permit is issued, because that's what this comes down to, is why was it allowed to be built there?
Yes.
When
And off of elevation.
and that's what I'm
not
getting
their
to.
permit.
So when it is built there, the Portage County building inspector is not required to do elevation inspections.
Which is insane.
Because it was proposed before to the Board of Commissioners, and it was deemed cost ineffective for the amount of times that they would have to employ that. So they only require it for commercial buildings in the county. That's a county issue. The water piece is another issue that should be, but water and soil are controlled by the engineer. And they do not have a requirement to sign off on things for the building department.
But the original water and soil guy that retired or left, he said this is absolutely not the way the water flows.
Right.
But because they built where they did, and their water is standing, and they built this huge pond behind their house, which was not permitted.
Right.
Who takes responsibility for all of that extra water?
So that's where the issue
That's
is.
just
Soil and
the
water.
extra.
Soil and water will say that, and that's been the response. So where I used to live, we had a neighbor who actually blocked up. We had a natural flow of water in the backyard, right? It went from house to house to house, back in Beechcrest, and there was a underground system that would move it, right? Stormwater system. So he blocked up next to our fence. So our yard and the neighbor's yards would all flood back. And we said, well, can we get this moved? And he goes, no, you're gonna have to take them to common police court to get that stuff moved. So it was cost ineffective for me because it wasn't reaching my house yet, so we left it be.
Can we put some kind of wall on the property line that will just deflect it back to them?
I can't say that you could do that, but I will
Well, I
say,
mean, not within
50.
5 feet. I mean,
Yeah.
5 feet of the road is ours. I mean,
Yeah.
Dave and I went out this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why a pipe wasn't put under
Yeah.
the lady's driveway. And that would take care of her problem, but I think
Yeah.
the way it looks, the water all flows down towards your property.
Well,
I mean, the water,
it
if we
never has.
put a ditch
It
there,
never did until they
but I mean,
built.
that's just what happens. I mean, it would go down
I
to your,
mean,
it
you
would
grew
go.
up there, right? Did it ever go across?
I mean, we're getting,
Right.
It sat in the field over there till they
It
put the house.
sat in the field, and there was a big swampland in the front, and there was a big swampland in the back.
and I mean,
Is what it always was.
I mean, I
And so
really
now-
appreciate your comment, but there's nothing we can do. We waste time talking about this because we've told you what to do. I mean, Dave, if that water, I'm just telling you, don't get mad, but if that water starts coming on the road and Dave can cut through that lady's driveway,
Well, she
and drain it?
said she hopes that it happens.
well, then that would alleviate some, well, I mean, you're putting us in a position we cannot defend. We cannot fix your problems. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to take somebody to court. You understand, Portage County will not stand behind it. We can't get more than 5 feet off the road, period.
that's the issue that we have
cannot
here.
handle domestic
I just
disputes.
wanted somebody to
And I don't even think you need it.
represent us to Portage County,
We've tried.
because this is just
We had-
absolutely
we had some
ridiculous that it's ruining everybody else's
I
property.
wish all you guys could just
And
get
it's
together and talk. I mean, John had told
I
us,
would love to
John
talk
told
to
us
this woman, but
that
she won't.
somebody filled in a ditch.
Correct.
And he gave you that information.
Yes.
Maybe
Do the
you,
EVs? So maybe.
I think
the
EVs are great partners. I think they would help.
I don't think it's
Has anyone talked to
EVs. I don't think it's EVs, and it's
the.
the house right behind you, to the,
No, we already cleared out their entire ditch.
Was that filled
came
in,
and
though?
excavated
okay.
2 years ago? Yeah, we came in and excavated, his name is Don, I forget his last name. Well, we excavated his entire trench of the, creek that goes back there.
Mhm.
So we did his hole, we did ours. We're now putting in another culvert underneath our driveway to make sure that it's not.
Is there, I haven't walked back there in years, but is there a lake back there?
Back in the EVs, it's not.
No, right behind his house.
No.
Because there used to be a lake back there, so I don't know
We
where all
don't
the,
own that. I mean,
well, but I'm saying that piece of property there used to have a
that would be
flowing
EVs
lake.
That own that.
And then there was
Probably-
another lake, if you look back to the back of
Yes.
Evie's pasture, there was another
That's
one.
still there.
Okay, so there's somewhere it's getting blocked from not going into that
Yeah.
area that used to be a lake. So I don't know if you've cleaned that culvert out there that was going back there.
Who holds those people, I don't wanna have to go and knock on doors.
Sarah,
You know? Go ahead.
I don't know if you know this, we did have soil and water in. They did come in and, I don't know if I'm saying this the right way, but Eric shrugged his shoulders. The soil and water guy needs to take care of this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the
He was
problem.
here, we said that,
I
he
mean,
kinda said,
and the,
yeah, I don't
the
know.
guy that was
So-
above him,
Well, and
he
so,
retired, and he
Right.
came out and specifically said, this is not okay, this is not the way
Right,
It would
it's not
naturally-
okay, but his ability is limited, so, and we have advocated for you and all the residents there. I've had the conversations with Soil and Water. I talked to the commissioners, and the commissioner's response was, it's outside of our control. We do not control soil and water. We control, the building department can issue building permits, but we don't control soil and water. That's controlled by a separate board. So you need to approach Soil and Water's board or the Ohio EPA.
I mean,
And
do
we-
they
I
have
can't-
meetings that I can go to and talk to? I mean, we have multiple neighbors that are all gonna be affected. Our
Right.
septic systems are gonna be affected, the roads might be affected. I just wanna handle it before it gets to that.
And I totally understand that. The issue is that we have as much power as you do in this situation because the law, the Ohio Administrative Code does not give us jurisdiction onto your property. We ended that roadway. So
So
us,
Portage County.
yeah, so Portage County is really where you need to
He
be.
shrugged his shoulders and said.
So then you need to
There's
figure
a new
out
person there
what
though.
you
I don't know
have
if
to
you've
do.
talked to her yet. Mike,
Girl.
what's her name? Do you remember?
Which,
The lady that's in
I
charge.
don't have her name. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have her.
Lynn Vogel.
Have you spoke to her yet?
No, she directed me to Eric.
And-
And Eric
So I think,
was not very
so everybody has
nice.
everybody has a
So-
boss they report to, right? So Eric, his division
So who's
has
the
to
boss?
report to the Ohio EPA. I would follow up again with Ohio EPA and say, we're
Because
getting
it will go
nowhere.
back to Akron as well, if they're pumping excess.
And that's
water.
why,
It is, I mean, we're hunters in our family and stuff, and we have, the land behind us, and, it's open to public, archery, hunting. And now, ever since they built, no deer ever come back there. So is it an EPA? Is it Akron City? Is it
and the,
Portage County? Who do we have to talk to?
our direction for you was to Portage County Soil and Water. They're the ones that you need to
But
talk
they're
to.
not helping.
I know, but I want you to hear what I'm trying to help you here. I really am. I know you're
It's very
frustrated. I know, and we as a board wish we could do something, but we legally have
I
no
just want
stance.
backing when I talk to these people like Eric.
And,
You know?
and the board has said this is not a township issue. Eric needs to deal with it, but I'm not Eric's boss. Mike isn't
Eric
Eric's boss.
shrugs his shoulders.
We can't force Eric to do things, so you need to take it to the next level. I would reach out to the Ohio EPA.
Okay.
and
Who is
say,
Eric's
"Listen,
boss?
Ohio EPA, you are the governing body over Soil and Water. Soil and Water is a subdivision of the EPA. We are getting no response. There is a situation that is imminent that's going to damage roadway, but our concern is, because the township will be looking into that, our concern is this imminent danger is going to damage our property, our neighbor's property, and is affecting a public water source. And we're getting no response from Eric Long. That is your best bet. I mean, coming here and giving us updates, that's great, but our response is always gonna be the same. We can't control anything off the
I just
roadway.
wanted a backing so that you guys have knowledge of what's going on. And it is a preserve.
Is that ditch in front of the red
That will
property
be
full?
affected.
So that would be if I was in your position, that would be my next step, is the Ohio EPA. And they may pass a boat and say, you need to talk to Soil and Water. Then you need to call them back a couple days later and listen, we tried to talk to them again. We're getting the shrug of the shoulders. We need your help. So that would be where I would go.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Like I said, we want to help you, but there's only so much we can do.
I know, I just didn't know where else to go, so
Yep.
I wanted to make it public knowledge or
The ditch would be?
get something.
Yeah, that would be the next step, is the Ohio EPA.
Oh.
That's all feedback.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Moving on. We have no more meeting guests scheduled for today, so we will move into meeting minutes. I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 23rd, 2022. I need a second,
Second.
and you have to
You were
abstain.
not there, Mike. Sue, I need a second from you.
Okay, roll call for approval.
All those in favor, Mike? Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
And then we need to entertain a motion for March
You need to make
9th,
that one, Mike.
2022, but I will be abstaining from that.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Sue?
Second.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Abstain?
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Agenda. I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All right, we'll open up for comments, additions, deletions, any changes from department heads? Craig, yes?
Addition under admin will be IT software for zoning discussion. And I don't know if you wanted the same, town center park fence for discussion. Do you want both? I kind of had that under soccer fields, but.
Yeah, that's all part of that soccer field
So then
project.
just IT software for zoning.
Okay, so it'll be 2B as in boy, IT software zoning. Any other changes or amendments to the agenda? John, you do have the accept federal
Yeah,
funding. Okay. Thank you, sir.
So we just have, Mike made the motion, Sue seconded, and we have an addition of IT software A-B, or 2B.
Yep,
And all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
I'll make a motion to accept the purchase orders.
so moved.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
motion passed.
Motion to approve warrants?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Sue,
yes.
motion passed.
All right, we'll now move into public comment. We will open up the floor for any public members to speak. We ask that you state your name and address before speaking and limit comments to 5 minutes. Open up the floor.
I'm Crystal Shanley, 3557 Hanover Drive, here in Brimfield. Just a quick update, I believe my co-buddy for the Brimfield Lions Club was here at your last meeting talking about the Brimfield Lions Club doing a community outreach project. I know Craig, you've been helpful with our project, I know Chief, you've been helping too. Where we are right now is we have collected the lion's share, pun intended, of our community needs assessments. So what we're doing now is our small committee is reviewing the assessments. I will tell you, as the chairman of that committee, the biggest need we're seeing across our local area, across the county, is access to transportation, addiction services, and access to healthy resources, whether that's food, medication, whatever the case might be. And then really, really close second to that are services for children and seniors. I know, Craig, that was one of the areas that you mentioned too. So our action steps, if we meet once a month, it's open to our Lions Club members to attend those meetings. The church here at the in Faith United Methodist Church is hosting an open public meeting the second Wednesday of April, second Wednesday of May. I've only two scheduled at 6:30. Open to everyone to attend, and basically that's going to be allowing us to, as a community, really hone in on what our own needs are. And if we know a specific situation that needs addressed immediately, we can make action at that meeting. We had received some funds through an endowment for one of our clients that passed away, Chuck Feaster, Mr. Feaster. So he is going to be, his Skeeter's memory is going to live on through our work through Lions Club with that. So that's our update. Yes.
I only had one comment, and I talked to Darlene about this, but business cards.
Yeah, so we.
So if I have knowledge, but my guys don't, and they say, what can I do? They can hand them a card
Wonderful,
and
yes.
pass it off. That would be a
Thank you for
suggestion.
this. We've already ordered business
Okay.
cards. We have a box of like 1,000.
Okay, I was saying they're not that
We haven't handed them
much.
out yet, because we want to make sure we get our ducks in a row first before we make that go live. Our goal is that we go quote unquote live sometime in May. We need to figure out how we're gonna complete the tasks, so we're working with community organization groups to complete the tasks. Also talking to local contractors, businesses, people that may want to offer services in kind. We don't want to have to use those dollars if we don't have to. We are service-minded clubs. We want to lead with service, but yeah, so you will get a stack.
Because I know, you know what
Inspire,
we're
yeah.
gonna get. Well, what can you do? Here.
Yeah, and that's
Call.
what we can do in the
Call.
back without blank on purpose, so we can put, notes in the back
Right.
or whatever on the back.
Nope,
So those
sounds
are
great.
ordered and ready to hand out when we're ready.
Good, thank you.
One
Thank you.
other quick question. The public meetings, April 13th, May 11th, 6 PM, open to the public,
6:30.
6:30.
Yeah.
Thank you, because I want to make sure I post this correctly.
And
What is,
Pastor Karen Upson is the one hosting those in conjunction with the Lions Club.
okay.
Pastor Karen
And what is the mission or the point of the meeting? What,
is to build on that community need.
So to
figure
get
out how to
feedback.
hit and everything, yeah.
okay, feedback from the community.
Yeah, the very first meeting we had was the second week of this month, which was March 9th. And at that meeting, we brainstormed an open brainstorm activity. We had representatives from the Lions Club there. We had a couple of local business partners there who wore different hats. And then we had some guests that came in from the Kent area. And we had someone that came in from the Haven of Portage as well. So we're trying to really, my personal goal is to have more representation of businesses, community leaders here in Brimfield come to those meetings. to join us. It's just a brainstorm. It's 1 hour, so you won't have your whole night taken up by it. It's 1 hour just of talking and brainstorming.
In which church was this at again?
The Faith United Methodist Church next to the police department.
Perfect.
And we are currently meeting a lower level. Should that group get to be any bigger than like 20 or 30 people, we probably move upstairs to the sanctuary, just for safety.
All right, thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome, thank you.
All right, any other public comments, questions? Floor is open. Anybody? No? No? All right. Safety concerns, department heads, board members, is there any safety concerns that need to be noted in the community this time? All right. Hearing none, we'll move into the business portion of our meeting, starting with the police department. Roy, the floor is yours, sir.
Brief follow-up item to the board. We had our Coffee with the Cop event in partnership with Meyer last Saturday. Kind of emerging from the whole COVID period we've been in for a while and kind of getting a chance to come back out. A nice turnout. Had a chance to chat with some folks coming in and out of the store that morning. We had a very good turnout from our own staff there as well. So overall, it was a good experience and a good partnership with Meyer, and I appreciate them reaching out and willing to do that with us. A couple of informational items for the board. We are presently reviewing applicants for our records clerk position vacancy. As of a couple of days ago, we had around 69 applicants for that. So we're going through that and want to start a round of interviews next week with a group of candidates for that. We're also currently reviewing applicants for our police officer position vacancy as well. The cutoff for that is April 15th. I don't have a current number of applicants at this time. I can update the board at our next meeting on that, but that is an ongoing process for us as well. And one other informational item is obviously Easter egg hunt is coming up at the Council House on the 9th, and we will have officers present for that community event.
All right. Two things. Roy, HR will be in this week. Can we schedule some time tomorrow? Are you going to be in office?
She's already reached out to me.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we made that connection with your
Yeah,
division.
we're already on the schedule.
Perfect. And then the second thing is I'm getting lots of questions about Safety Town. What are we doing this year?
I got a meeting with Dave Heffinger next week
Okay.
on that, and I'm going to have that discussion with him. I think the discussion we had previously is whether it would be like a safety day as opposed to a safety town, and whether we're going to be able to do that before the close of this semester, possibly look at it for the fall, is to be determined. Right now, I would tell you, I don't think we're going to be doing a full-fledged safety town program like the week-long thing.
Okay.
I think we're probably more inclined to be looking at that safety day aspect, with incorporating maybe more than one grade level, like kindergarten and first grade. So we just had some initial conversation internally about that last week, and I'll be meeting with Dave next week to discuss that.
Originally, we had discussed doing that to kind of catch up because of COVID. We had not had that for a couple of years. Is there a vision to bring this back to prep the kids before school starts, those incoming kindergartners like we used to do?
Yeah,
even if it's a
I
bridge?
think what you'll probably see with that is that's probably going to transition under Cassie's umbrella. Cassie and I have already had some conversations about that. With her being on maternity leave now, obviously with the timing of it, she can't really be involved in taking a lead on that. But the discussions are going to be, that's going to fall under her umbrella starting for 2023 and be a program run under Parks and Recreation.
All right. Yeah, because I'd like to see us try to get something for 2022. And obviously having those discussions. So if you could provide an update at the next board meeting of where the school district is and where you're at. Because I know there's a lot of parents asking about it. I know it's kind of been a staple for a lot of families in the community. They look forward
I've
to
just
it.
got some logistical issues on our end we'd have to address with that. So
Is it something Aaron can step in and start helping with too, Mike?
I don't know, that's the first I heard that Cassie was gonna take it over. I mean, there's nothing against Cassie. I mean, she has a hard time sometimes, and there's a lot of stuff on her plate.
Right.
the discussion for that was going to be next year. It wasn't talking for 2022.
I mean, how much work did it take the police officers? I mean, was it that much, or wasn't it a lot more community?
It's really a combination of both.
We used to do it, Patty.
Yes. Yeah. So the discussion involving Cassie was longer term thinking down the road for 2023. There wasn't any
I
discussion with
just don't
Cassie.
want her to be overburdened.
Yeah, she's not overburdened by it. In fact, she's welcoming of it. She's looking forward to that. So
Yeah, it was a big piece, because I remember parents loved it.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of questions from parents, with the younger families that we're involved with, and their kids are getting ready to start kindergarten. They're like, oh, well, we want to do Safety Town. It's, I know, I think it's a rite of passage for some of the kids.
Well,
per se.
especially if Cassie has two people, I can see them helping alleviate some of the burden.
yeah, I think it's just her administratively running the program starting next year. It doesn't mean there's not going to be partnership with the police and fire departments. Of course, those
Well, I know,
partnerships will
I
still
think
be
that-
there.
I think that's an important piece.
Yeah.
having police and
It's
fire.
just the logistically leading it aspect would fall under her umbrella.
Yeah, I would really push it forward. I'm like Nick, I just think it was a staple.
Great. All right, well, let's add that for our agenda for 2 weeks from now and just kind of see where we're at and what the game plan is to catch kids up and to get to where we need to be. Any other questions or comments for police?
You saw that picture I sent you, right?
Yes.
And we had a guy walking up and down 18, looking in mailboxes.
Okay.
He looked like a homeless man, but I just sent it to Roy so he could. There's a lot of them in Kent. I understand that too. I was talking to one of their officers. This homeless situation is getting.
Well, all the camps. So a group that I work with does a homeless inspection where they go around the community and try to identify all the camps. And they weren't able to find any this year because many of them had been disbanded. In cities.
Is the one under the bridge not there anymore?
Because they grew too large.
Yeah.
I have another, on Old Forge, there's a house that has a RV in front and an RV in back. I don't know, I'm sure you guys have probably been there. But the man that lives there, I know the family, but there was a dog in the back camper that was living there, and the man died that lived in the camper in the very back. Right on pretty much the corner, it's 2 houses down from the corner of Old Forge and Converse Lake. And there was a man that lived in there, he passed away, and there was a dog that could not be approached at any time. So I don't know if you guys want to take note on that or.
I need the location, or you can contact dispatch and we can send an officer out.
Okay, I know that, I mean, the family members have even said that this dog is, nobody will even deal with it, and the man that now is living there he already went to jail for murder, and, I mean, there's 3 other people, so just.
Do they not live in the house? They just live in the trailers that are all around the house?
No, so the grandma, or the woman that owns the property, she lives there. And this was a man that she took in from Florida, and he had just gotten out of prison, and he just went to a mental hospital. But long story short, another guy, her son, ended up dead in the trailer in the back.
All right. Well, I would say let's take that because we're in the business section. So I would follow up with dispatch with that if you had some concerns. All right. Any other comments for police? All right. Let's move in the fire department.
Okay, just kind of updates. As you can see, the mason block has started. What you're going to see first is the stairwell to the south or to the east side come up, and then you'll see the stairwell to the west come up, and then you'll see the hose tower come up next. After they get that done and the waterproofing around the base, they will actually pour the floors on the inside. So I've heard multiple comments. It looks too little. It won't. It'll look massive here real soon. So don't worry. It's going to be big enough. We build it for the future. So that's kind of the update of where we're at. We'll have to fight the rains a little bit, but we're into whether the block can be laid. And to be honest with you, it's better to lay block when it's a little bit warmer and not in sub-freezing weather anyway. So it's fine that they did it this way. So we know that we have to work with them on delays and, with a certain timeline, but it's okay. Steel's still out in California on boats, and it's just the time we're building in, we're just going to have to work together.
Can you, Craig, start, now that we're getting into active construction, can you provide us on an every other week or once a month basis updates to the schedule if they're asking for schedule extensions and asking us for
so
financial
as
extensions?
far as the schedule, it is a whole wall's worth of.
Right, but we had that end deadline, and it's all a Gantt chart, and they're moving stuff around. I get that, but this deadline date, if it starts to creep, if they're trying to creep that, they have a lot of slack inside that Gantt chart. So I think you need to bring it to the board if they start pushing that end deadline.
And I agree with that, and the comments that have been made to that is that's why we're paying you to guess that date.
Yeah.
You brought it to us that date.
Yeah, they set that date. So just keep
And
us
and I know there
apprised
was
of that.
fluff in there, so,
Right. Oh, there always is. There's always critical paths and leaks. So
yeah, if I see something different, I'll bring it to you.
Okay.
But right now, I can't even read what's on the wall.
well, I just want to
So
make sure
many
that we're not
papers.
moving
So,
the end post, right? They can move the internal stuff all they want. That's their field.
we may have discussion at that. I would be shocked if we stay at the June of 2023. I feel like it's gonna move, but I don't know that.
But if it starts to move, the board needs to be
I
made
understand.
aware.
John?
I was just wanting to make sure that, because that last meeting you weren't at, they bumped it. But it was June of 23. I didn't know if that's the date you had.
I'm just saying, I feel like we're gonna run into something, but
But that was the one extension we
we have
gave
a
them.
contract, so.
Right.
Well, that was the admin part. The fire department was supposed to be at the end of this year. So half the building should be up and running.
That's really that's what we're doing at the fire department. We're just building and it's muddy and it's messy and that we run calls and clean up mud. That's what we do every day. So it's a disaster. I understand why people build off-site and move in, but as we all know, we made that decision because it saved us $500,000 plus to do it the way we're doing it. So,
Right.
It's worth it.
All right. Any other questions for fire department? Hearing none, we'll go into administration.
Okay, I don't have anything under old business, under new business. So weather's starting to get nice. One of my projects is the soccer fields over there. A few things are going to start happening with that. I'm hoping to get prices on pavilion quotes. I had one guy already come out. I'm hoping to get a couple more. Again, like everybody, it's like pulling teeth. They say they're going to call you back and no one calls you back. So I'm fighting with that right now. We do have other projects going on with that. We have talked about painting the storage container, which I got to get on that. Talked to the road department yesterday, talked to Dave, talked to Cody a little bit about getting the field reseeded, getting their thoughts on slit seating versus drop seating or whatever, but we're there. We need to get that down. One of the things I did get accomplished though was getting a fence around the whole piece of the property. The reason we would need the fence is twofold. One, if you see the signs that say do not park on grass, they just pull in and pull all over it anyways. One, that will keep the vehicles off our nice fields when they're completed, but two, we need to try to keep the geese out. So with that being said, I do have a quote on the fence, which would, this is rough, but we're talking about probably 1,100 foot of fence with 6 gates and a large 12-foot gate for road access, and we're looking right around 28,700. That would be for a chain link vinyl coated fence. Again, we can cheapen that up a little bit by approximately $3,000 if you just went galvanized. But that's 25 to 29 range is what we're looking. So I wanted to bring it to the board for discussion on that. The fence guy that did come out, I trust his judgment, and it was used by Tim Fox at the schools and everything else. So a good guy, but.
So on that, Craig,
Yeah.
we're only fencing east, west, and south. We are not fencing north, correct?
Because
Okay.
then we would come up to where we wouldn't touch the baseball field fences, but we have fences.
Right, and we got the ditch line through there too.
Yeah, we wouldn't need that.
Okay.
So it effectively covers two different things, keeps people off the field and geese off the field, hopefully. Doesn't mean they can't fly over, but it would deter.
Don't worry about with the babies too.
And I told you, that's a habitat down there where all that grass is and stuff. That's where they're gonna lay nest.
And I was out there with complaints from the soccer association, and they had legitimate complaints that kids were sliding in poop.
Right.
I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So-
it's also, the safety.
It's kinda
gonna
gross.
Keep kids contained.
Right.
Now, parents are gonna be watching their siblings, or the kids, and it'll help contain you.
I'll tell you, from coaching down there last fall, having that south fence is going to be a huge help because I would spend half the practice digging through the weeds trying to get balls because the goalie missed it, rolled down the hill into there.
And you'll still have that, but.
Right, but I think it's going to
You'll
reduce a
block
lot.
some of it,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, I met the guy, seemed like a nice guy, but you're gonna try to get another coat?
if anybody will call me back. This is the only one that would
Yeah.
call me back.
I would like to see at least a secondary.
Was it Myers fence?
No, it was, I have the name, but.
Did you try?
Myers fence? They're new, but they're around here, but they're from Brimfield. I didn't know if you,
It's Hank Roberts, but he didn't give his company name.
okay, that's not who it is.
Did you try
Myers
Daniel's
fence?
fence over in Ravenna too?
Larry Myers' brother. you know.
Okay, well, you should, why don't you get that number from John or
Yeah, I got
contact?
Mhm.
I think, I'd feel comfortable if we had a second.
Yeah. So this is really for discussion. I know we had tried to set some money aside to do that. At some point, when that falls is up to you guys.
Would Lowe's be able to help us with a fence?
Lowe's might be able to help us with the fence. I'm not confident in the person they sub the fence out to.
Okay,
I've had some issues with
yeah, okay,
Lowe's subs. I would like to have a fence guy
yeah,
install
okay.
the fence.
And Craig, why don't
I
you give
understand.
Myers a call?
I can do that. What are thoughts though?
So I guess,
Do you want me to pursue this more? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I think you should pursue it to get us a second quote so we can make a movement on it in the near future. The question that I think the board, so that we can compare apples to apples, the board needs to answer. Number one, do we want to go with a galvanized fence or do we want to go with the black fencing? What look do we want so we get apples to apples quotes? Which,
I would
so-
have them both priced out.
So again, that's a $3,000 difference. It doesn't mean that the first fence is not galvanized. The second one is painted galvanized.
Right.
So you're paying for the vinyl coated paint.
Not like the vinyl coating.
So we gotta get something done. All it takes is one truck to go up there some Friday night and
Oh, they've already done it.
I know, it's just
And
terrible.
I'm putting a lot of time into these fields. I don't want
I
people
know, we've
on
already-
those fields.
And we've already had problems with the first excavator. I mean, I just wanna get these things done, but we gotta protect them.
well, and so, I don't know, Sue, if you've seen it yet or Mike has seen it yet, but this is
Yeah.
basically the drawing of what we're proposing is these two fields, fencing around here, the pavilion, a gravel driveway for access to the pavilion, and then this is the shipping container that we use for storage, and then future playground in this area.
Okay, sounds good.
So for the public, they want to see what we're talking about, what we're working towards. Did you see that yet?
I didn't see that.
So this is what we're proposing for that green space up there. We're getting there, but we need the pavilion quotes, we need the soccer field quotes. And then Clint from Warhorse Tattoo does the mural work. So we need to get a meeting with him to have him come out.
The common theme of what I'm hearing, and we all know this, is even this guy said, I just need to know because I have to order it. And now I'm at the mercy of what they can give me. So everything's going to be that way.
So I think what we need, Craig, and I know it's somewhat out of your control, but in your control, is we need to get all the prices together by next meeting so we can make a decision on what parts of the project we move forward with in 2022, what we do in 2023, and what that looks like. Because this is part of that funding project
I
that we're
would be
working on.
happy to shoot for that goal.
So I would
So
get
like I
on the
said,
phone today and
I'm
call
at the
everybody you
mercy
can.
of whether they'll come out or not.
Right, yeah, so just start calling.
So, we good with that then?
John, do you have any other questions on that?
No, I'll get Myers to call you today.
You'll call them to have them call me?
I'll have him call you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, and then I can do apples to apples with
Okay.
the original first.
And we decided, what was the decision on the south fence for access into the weeds if we need it? We're gonna do swing gates, right? To
So
keep
I
the-
had him price me 6 swing gates, two east, 2 west, 2 south. Whether that be a gate or whether you want to cut it down to a 2-foot opening with no gate, just a walk through, we can decide that. This is the highest price.
I'm telling you, the geese will find a way through it.
But if you don't have a gate, won't the geese walk in?
Yeah.
Wow.
My
I don't want the
thought
geese-
on that, my thought on the gate is, I know you say kicking the balls, but they're gonna kick it over the fence.
Right.
And the kids are either gonna jump the fence and possibly bend. Not the kids, maybe a heavier adult, let's call it. Bend the fence, or they have gates, so we need gates.
Right, yes, that's why I wanted to make sure we had something.
And let's think future on this. I mean, we're talking soccer fields and sport fields right now, but what if Brimfest lands on there? And we gotta have vendor access for gates.
Well, that's, I guess,
We
what
need
we were
gates.
gonna do between the two.
Yeah, so that's why we have to have the gates there too for access to that area.
Let's put a dome over it. Keep the geese out.
The one,
Sports
that-
complex.
we don't really need to have this discussion now, but do you want gates toward the Casmino property? Or do we want to deter parking in that parking
That's
lot?
not gonna deter.
It's not going to determine. I would have them there for emergency egress and during festivals.
I thought the
People are
same
gonna still
thing.
park there at night.
It's not our property. I tell everybody to stay off of it. They don't. They do what they want.
Right.
So
I mean, yeah, that's not our issue. We're not the car police.
I agree.
We posted signs. That's all we can do.
Check.
All right.
Take care.
All right. So try to get these quotes back so we can make a decision on this project at next meeting. That's our goal.
Right, the biggest thing that I'll have to bring back to you guys, hopefully prior to this, all of you, is if I do get pavilion quotes, there's 100 different looks.
Right.
So you guys will have to kind of say.
Well,
hey,
we need to get a ballpark and then we give you the funding and say these are the nice to haves, must haves, and then you build it out from
I can build it if you would like me to.
there. No, you're not building it.
I'll charge you half the price. Just saying.
Is that on or off?
Up is on.
Mike and I will
It's
go
all right.
build it.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Anything else under admin?
Yes, IT software for zoning. Part of what zoning had requested this year was iPads that would be provided for zoning commission and BZA. Mike could speak on the reasons why, but I do have a quote in hand. Do you want to say why? The why first?
Yeah, we're trying to go paperless. I mean, this is the goal at the beginning. Looking back in the old storage shed, we found over 700 sets of drawings rolled up. We had those all scanned in. Everything we get now is scanned in or we ask digital. We do have a resolution that requires 9 copies to be sent to us for the board, but it's a burden. And most people, we'll set them all up and you've seen full-size drawings. Like we have a set of Walmart right now. It's this thick for their whole interior remodel and exterior addition. That's at our next BZA. And you set these out, nobody even opens them. And then we just throw them all out. So, and it's just better to have everything online. If people want to see what's coming to the meeting, they could look at, view it online. With the boards having the computer and the tablets, they could bring those to the meeting. They could access any of the drawings we have. And if there's any changes, it's instantaneous because the applicants can bring those as well, send them off. And then most of the board members, I don't know if they have access to computers or even if they could see some of the stuff that we're sending, these large files. So that was one of the
So
requests.
going back to part of the quote, and one of the questions was, would these iPads be given to a BZA member to take home? The answer would be yes, they would, but they are not LTE. We're not paying for their service. They would have to connect to Wi-Fi to do this, and obviously we would own those. The reason that would be was so they could prep prior or before meetings.
Correct.
With that being said, we have a quote here in hand, and again, this is for discussion first of 8,640 would cover 16 iPads with cases and Apple Care service to that.
Does that include Microsoft licensure that we need for each one of those individuals for the email portion of this, which I'll talk about in a
I
second?
don't know that. I think that, honestly, I think that's separate
I think we need.
because we already pay that.
I didn't see it yet, so we just need to discussion, but we can bring it up and look at for next meeting, but I didn't even see the proposal yet, just got it.
Okay.
I don't know if it has the software built into it or not.
Okay. So I would say let's table it, but I do want to bring this up. The reason why it's important, and let's bring it up next meeting, is talking with Brian and IT. While physical threats have always been a concern for the community, cyber threats are the largest piece that we have right now. And we cannot control what's happening with a lot of this documentation because it's going to their private emails, which creates 2 major issues for our BZA members. A, it opens it up to more potential for phishing attacks. B, in the event, because we've seen cases go before the courts for zoning, now Brian has, if we get a court order to see the communications from the BZA members, Brian now has to go through their personal email.
Right,
Well,
I get all that.
And I don't think that's fair to our BZA members to open.
I
up
just
their-
haven't seen that. I haven't seen if we have to buy software. Software is really expensive, and we've already been having a hard enough time getting software stuff from
We,
our.
we don't have any extra licensing, it was Brian just.
And they have their
Yeah,
own-
we were trying, we're.
They already
we're in the
have
process of
that.
Oh, they already have.
They
it.
have their emails.
Okay. So the software isn't an issue. This is just the physical purchase of the tablets for Brian.
Correct.
Well, I'd still like to look at it. I mean, I haven't even seen it. I don't even know which line items I'd take it out of. I'd just rather table it. Guy should have got it to me before, and then I could have kind of given you a heads up and we could have gone from there.
In fairness, I said I'm gonna bring up discussion points and you guys can table it and do what you
Yeah.
want, so.
But I'm not against it. I haven't seen it.
I'll meet with you.
Getting it.
Yeah, I think the department just needs to figure out what department line they're gonna pay out of. It's a request from them. I mean, I'm in support of it, but if the board wants to table it, we can table it to the next meeting. I think it's an important piece. Mike, what's your thought?
Table, at least give John a fair chance to look at it.
Okay.
I mean, is it worth getting some other quotes? I mean, we're getting other quotes and everything else.
So talking with Brian.
We just assume Brian's getting the best one? I don't know. I'm not
Well,
saying-
I mean, iPads are iPads. The only other option is to go to an Android system, and the shelf life of that's gonna be 2 years versus multiple years on these tablets. And you just save a few bucks here, a few bucks there. Becomes the question.
Yeah. Are they just gonna sit on somebody's shelf?
That's the only way they're gonna be able to access the
Yeah.
meeting documents. So I think that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. You know Brian, he likes spending money. He's got
Would
money.
you, Brian, do you have something to add to it?
The rationale behind getting an iPad is multifaceted. First off, when you spend $500 for an iPad, you get a device, like you said, is gonna run 5-6 years. Got Apple Care warranty on it, so if it's broken, we get them replaced. But the biggest point is that an Apple device is a secure device. All the apps that go through the App Store, the Apple Store, are vetted by Apple, malware, so on and so forth. I read weekly about apps that are on the Android Play Store. If users of an Android device aren't very judicious about what they're downloading, that creates another threat vector.
All right, well, I don't know, maybe we'll get, my quote wasn't or question wasn't about Android versus this.
Okay.
I mean, there's not only one person that says Apple. Have you looked around at other vendors? That's all I'm saying. I don't care if you do Apple, Android. I mean, I'm not.
So in that world, it is Apple or Android.
I know, but there's Best Buy and there's Walmart. I mean, are there different?
So
That's all I'm saying.
because Apple's so big, they pretty much set MSRP and that's it. You go to Amazon, you go to Apple's website, you go to Best Buy, the prices are all exactly the same. There is no shopping around.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's all. I just, I know we're careful on spending the money.
Right. And these quotes are based off of purchasing them directly from Apple. So when we get them from Apple, we get the Apple Care support directly from Apple. That way we're not working through a middleman like Best Buy's Geek Squad or something like that to get warranty service on these devices. It makes it easier on us. We pay the exact same price that we would by going through Best Buy. We're just getting it straight from the horse's mouth.
Makes sense then. But I think we still should let John.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
And there's no
Seen it
other
actually
additional
coming
costs
before it even
as
got
for
out.
licensing and stuff with
Okay,
Microsoft.
that was I just wanted to verify that.
We've already got them their email accounts. That will give them access to OneDrive. We can install the apps on there. Someone shows up to a zoning meeting, Lauren can get a new file from a developer and quickly email it out to everybody, and boom, it's there on their iPads.
Okay.
So then if we were to do this, does that eliminate the need then too, from a zoning standpoint, for developers or builders to submit the 9 copies of everything?
So what would happen next is that if this gets approved, the meeting after this gets approved, the next zoning commission meeting after that, I will have language to get rid of the 9 sets. And then it would be a 6 to 7 month process through the zoning commission, public hearings for a text amendment.
Okay.
Has to go back to regional planning, comes back to regional planning, then ultimately you guys with the public hearing.
But then it forces the developers to send stuff electronically
Everything's
to us,
electronically.
which then makes it easier for public access to post to our website when we have proposal of building of, I don't know, whatever development or commercial building. We already have the digital documents then posted to the website.
Correct.
Okay.
And then it's easier, we set it into, well, right now we're storing a drop, but that's going to change in the future where we'll have all the drawings where we don't have to, when there's a records request, it makes it much simpler than trying to find old drawings and scan them in. So.
All right. All right. So no action taken on IT software. People have questions. I would recommend board members to talk with Brian and Craig and Mike before the next meeting. Add it to the agenda.
So just put it back on the agenda.
Yeah, because there was no action taken, so we won't table it. All right, anything else under admin?
Nothing. Thank you.
Okay, hearing none, we'll go into zoning.
Thanks. Trustees, we need to set a public hearing for the 4 zoning amendments that the zoning commission approved on the 10th. And you have the attachments for the zoning amendments. The only thing that I would say to this amendment that is going to change for the public hearing is on amendment 4, there's language in there that tells you that it's going from general commercial to highway commercial, which is true. But there's also, since the last public hearing in zoning commission, we changed some of the HC that was originally proposed to R2 and R4 because there was about 20, 25 residents here. We had a good turnout. They stressed their concerns with going to highway commercial. They wanted to stay R2 and R4. So the board did make those changes. The regional updated the map on the last page of the area that I'm discussing. But the language will have also included the R2 and the R4. So we'll have an update from regional on that, I would assume sometime this week. But other than that, I'd like to set a public hearing. The next meeting, I believe, is on the 6th. If maybe we could do something around that time. We have to post for 10 days in the paper for this public hearing. We'll have Kirsten do that for the trustees. But, that being said, the first available, if it hit the paper right away, would be right around the 6th. So,
what's your anticipation on this piece? Is this another one where we're better off holding an evening meeting because we would have a larger public turnout with this many zoning amendment changes? Or is this a better, we just run it prior to our meeting?
I would say prior to the meeting because everybody that was at the meeting was satisfied and we made sure that before they left. I don't anticipate any other people coming to this meeting.
What's the board's thought on this? Do we want to hold public hearing?
Just do it early before a meeting. That's my thought.
And I would go earlier, I would go early, like to our regular meeting would be fine.
So if we advertise, is it 10 calendar days or 10 business days it has to be advertised?
10 calendar.
So we could do it before the 6th.
Yes.
And what's the time frame that we need to get this done within? Because I know once it comes to us, the ball's passed, we have so much time to act within.
Yeah, so you'd have to vote. We have 30 days to set the public hearing from the 10th.
Okay.
Which the zoning commission sent to you guys. This is the first available meeting for you guys to set the public hearing. If we do it on the 6th, that meets that guideline. And then you have 20 days from there to make a decision off that public hearing. So if you have the meeting right after the public hearing on the 6th, that would work.
Okay. Or we could, if we had comments, we could actually vote on it on the 20th and we'd still be within time frame.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to make a motion to set a public hearing for the proposed zoning amendments to be held on Wednesday, April 6th at, do we want to do 7:45 or 7:30?
Should
I'm
take
up
us
to
out.
3.
I think we should go at 7:30.
7:30? All right. So we'll make it for 7:30.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Mike Ladd, is Lauren gonna work that with the paper and Kirsten?
Yeah, Lauren to get everything ready
Okay.
for Kirsten. She's probably watching us now. She'll send it off to Kirsten and then Kirsten can send it.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we didn't skip something.
Yeah. Can we just double check so that we don't miss that deadline too?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on that before we vote? All right. Roll call, please.
All those in favor, Mike? Yes. Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
We currently have 91 housing violations out. Most of them are not completed. We're hitting right around 80 to 90% completion on our zoning violations. So we still have things going to the prosecutor's office But it's not as much. We are getting some people doing what we're asking. Brimfield signs, Dave had the contractor remove the trees down at the Talmadge line. So that could get started and we'll start foundation work there. I have it surveyed. It's all staked out. The easement is in there. And then we have one more, which is at the Talmadge location for our entrance sign. And there's a large tree there and Dave's got the guy coming out this next week. That should be removed and then we'll get going on those signs here. So, as well as the lighting. And that concludes my report.
Questions for Zoe?
That, over there, Beal Drive and all that stuff, you know, Beal?
Mhm.
So so that is general commercial right now? And you want to change it to highway commercial, is that what?
So if you're looking at Amendment 4,
Yeah,
so the last page is the map.
yeah, look at this one.
Yep. So that one now is general commercial. We're going to go to R2, seeing it in
Oh,
orange.
yeah, okay, I see the RT now, okay.
And then, across the street is going to be all R4.
Okay, I didn't see the R2, okay.
Yeah, that was a request. So we had it in there and the residents came in, they wanted that all R2. They petitioned for it all R2 and we were happy to do it. I mean, that's fine. The highway commercial district, as you know, it's a very particular district that allows for hotels and gas stations. And we're trying to limit that area of where we're putting that stuff in. So,
Okay. Good.
Question on signage, is that appropriate?
Don't
Sure.
grab right now.
Whatever I got for tonight. The sign in front of the school on 43,
yes.
the sign that replaced, they had all those emblems. Where'd those go?
So you're talking about the Brimfield entrance sign?
Yeah, there was
So,
a Brimfield Lions
Dave, I don't-
emblem on there.
You want
Do
to
still
go
have
Did
it?
you bring those or did GDI?
You want the whole sign?
Sure, yeah, front yard, you have my address.
So I'll ask the contractor if he pulled them.
Okay, because we did it as a Lions Club fundraiser, like only a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
And so we love the new sign, we just wonder where those blockers are.
Who built those other signs? Was that Lions that donated?
No, we just did our individual,
I
like,
just wondered who built the original sign.
whatever you call it.
I don't know.
It's been a long
I
time.
don't know, but I'll find out.
Those other two are gonna go. Send them real quick. Those other two are gonna go real quick, so you might wanna
I
take a
know.
hammer down
You
there.
remember
We
when-
we were thinking about it.
The
and we
roadway
didn't-
entry signs?
There was no
Yeah,
plan of them
Big
already,
Kramer-
and they're sitting on
Big
hospital.
Kramer was in charge of all that.
I don't know where those are, but the two
Chamber of
on
Commerce put him up.
Talmadge Road are
It's
still,
hurt, so he like these two.
you need to get your hammer.
Get your hand. Well, Mike, if you do have it, let me know, or whoever. Dave.
Yeah, I'll have them dropped off to Dave. I think GDI probably has some.
I should drop off the whole sign.
Yeah.
She can decorate your garden.
Yeah, I like the whole thing, I mean, I'll take it if you want. Okay, just the emblem's good, thank you.
Yeah.
If not, no big deal, we just were trying to find it.
And we didn't hear any feedback from the signs for a while, and then all of a sudden we got a ton of feedback. And they're like, oh, they look great.
I did
They're
that,
awesome.
Yeah.
They do.
Talked to them
Beautiful.
yesterday, so they're ready.
I noticed it in traffic one day, waiting for the school traffic, I was sitting there, I was like, oh, those look nice.
Yeah.
So,
When are the lights going on?
He's gotta wait till the ground dries up a little bit.
Okay,
He's waiting to me.
Oh,
Yeah, you were there yesterday, so.
Yeah, and just the problem, I mean, everything is, the two signs are the same price, but I know he alluded to you. I mean, his costs are just going straight up.
That's why I'm trying to try to get it going so
He's
that
having a hard time.
we already changed the price at one point, I think, John. And so,
Yeah, I mean, it's not crazy.
no,
It's just everything's cost, I mean, he said a piece of aluminum was $3, and now it's up to over $12.
right.
It's just going crazy.
would we be a spot that we could put those back up somewhere in the township, once we take them down with your new signs, or is that not the new plan that have those service club emblems up anymore?
It might be easier for them to just.
They're kind of old school, I understand, but
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm gonna get the question.
I mean,
from our
that'd be
club.
up to you guys.
Yeah, the way we had designed it, we tried to streamline the look of it as best.
I mean, we could just get a pole and put it somewhere.
We could. Because going into Suffield, they still have their sign up there with all the emblems.
Yeah, they're old school.
They are, we're new school, yeah.
The problem is you have the easement, and the easement just fits the sign as it is right now.
So yeah, the line, that was the other issue, is all the old signs were not on easements, so we weren't really in violation.
No, they were stuck on private property.
Somebody just nailed them in the ground and ran away.
Yeah, which is, we don't want to do that. with
That's
these.
right.
Well, I'll bring it to our Lions board, let them know that, what's our deadline to get them off the other two sides on Talmadge Road? How quickly do we have to get
I mean, they're up to, Dave hasn't pulled the other ones at all, and I guess GDI pulled that one, so I'll make sure you get it back, but they're just sitting up there, because they're in different locations.
Okay, so we can pull the other two on Talmadge Road, the
Oh,
western
yeah.
side and the town side.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, any other questions for zoning? All right, hearing none, we'll move into road department. Dave, floor is yours, sir.
I just want to let the board know that we got the Dura patch going. We're making permanent patches instead of the coal mix patches right now in areas. That'll help alleviate the potholes from developing since it's be sealed off. As you can see, we put some stone down out here at the community center. And we're working on some water issues and some other little tidbit things before we get into the season where we're going to start hitting piping jobs and stuff. So we got 200 ton of salt in. We're about done getting our salt for the season. I mean, it's I'm probably going to order over than what we asked for this year because I can get a 10% overage because I'm afraid prices are going to go sky high this year for the salt thing, which brings me into the next thing. I need the board's approval to go with the ODOT authorizing participation in the ODOT road salt contract award in 2022. We go with ODOT every year before we can get a better price with our salt and stuff. And we'll probably order the same amount this year, 1,400 ton.
And they haven't given you a price yet.
No, this is just to get the ball rolling. I have to conclude all my other salt before we're allowed to, send the number what we want, but we can send this in before that.
So I'll make that motion.
All right, I'll second that motion for the ODOT contract for salt this year. Any questions on that?
Yeah.
That's our normal contract, okay? Roll call?
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Here's the paperwork for everybody to get a sign on it. That way
Yep,
we can get it.
Dave,
John, you're on the back.
Are
Very
you
good.
gonna touch base quick on the new salt shed?
Well, this year we're probably gonna put it on hold.
Well, because they don't, budget 150, 160.
It's 150, but it came in at 234. For the new dome. Well, like I say, all materials up high, but this would be a salt dome that would move us into the future. It's more of a state salt dome instead of like what we have here now. It's got 8-foot concrete walls in it, 60 by 65 feet. I mean, the township's not getting no smaller, so sooner or later, we're gonna have to move up to this grade of the salt.
You think you got probably a year left on ours?
Well, as bad as the inside interior is getting from, I don't know how they did it back when you guys first built the salt dome. You could tell they blew salt in. They took the galvanized off the arches. So a lot of the arches are deteriorated. If you try to climb up in the salt pile to see where you're at and you grab hold of an arch, you can almost squeeze it together. So.
I mean, this might be something we might need to really look into. I mean.
Right.
If
John,
you
you
get
do your
extra
part.
money, maybe.
But yeah, it's one of them. The price from when I talked to them the first time is, again, like everybody's saying, the price has gone sky high. Even to get 12-inch pipe to fix piping problems, it's double. So
maybe
it's
we
getting.
roll the dice and see what happens next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm hoping maybe prices come back down. I mean, again, you're still going to have galvanized arches.
But if you budgeted that money, what are you going to do with it? If we don't use it?
Well, right now, I'm afraid some of my paving projects are going to go overboard because of the situation this year with oil prices. Paving contracts they're going to skyrocket.
Yeah.
I mean,
Be sky
I
high.
hate to say it, some paving projects might have to be eliminated too this year. I mean, we're at that point of, I can't control the oil.
Right.
So right now I'm hoping none of them get canceled. We didn't go to the extreme to where, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to cut salt out for the winter season or this or that. We're okay, but it just all depends on what happens with the oil prices on paving.
Yeah, if they go up by 25%, then that's gonna kill our budget.
Right.
I mean,
I was just reading last night that the price of oil, I mean, they let the reserves out to drop the oil, but it's gonna hit us. It's gonna hit us hard in the next few weeks.
well, that's what's gonna, I mean, I hate to say it, like salt prices for this year. While I'm getting the extra in now, I got a good price. Next year I may cut it down. I can cut down 10%. So say if the price is too high, I can cut away 10% because I added the 10% from this year, holding it for next year. See, I'm just trying to play it again because we're at a good price right now.
Right.
I got a bad feeling salt's going to be about 70, 75 bucks a ton because of the fuel surge for truckers to get it here.
How many
Plus them
shovels
to
do you
do
get?
mining and all that stuff.
How many shovels and road workers can you get on a scooter?
Not enough to keep this place happy. So, but no, we're just trying to do things the right way right at the moment. So that's what we're looking at. I mean, I hate to say it. Hopefully we got enough budget for salt price this year too. So that some of the salt dome money might have to go to that. You know, I mean, it's.
You got how many tons in there right now?
Right now I probably got about 300 tons.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So if we get the extra 150 I can get, we'll be at, say, 450 for the start season. We actually probably this year used close to 1,400 ton. Because I did have 300 ton setting, so I'm actually filling in what I had left over from the year before. So these storms weren't nice and they ain't done yet.
Don't we have one this weekend?
We got one this weekend, and the long range is looking like something in the middle of April. So we're, Joe, I mean, we're not done yet.
I have to get my plow off.
I haven't. Mine was broken down. I didn't get to use it. I don't use it.
Once you see the Salzburg go out of the back of my truck, we're pretty much in a good phase. But I'm figuring not taking it out till about the third week in April. So, but other than that, that concludes my report. Oh, wait a minute. You want me to bring this up at all? Is it Cardinal? Or you want me, I forgot to.
Well, I had Dave do a price, looking into getting the community center paved, so that's what he got us. But I wasn't gonna call.
It's just,
I think it's for informational purposes.
It's an FYI. We just wanted to see what, and the proposal's all the way from the road through the whole stone parking lot.
Okay.
And it would widen the exit to 12 feet wide. I'm just giving you what we went over, me and Todd. These, actually Cardinal, I called them because they do a lot of work in the township. So, I mean, if you did want to move forward one day, I mean, I could call Sable, you know, a few other places and get right, but Todd's normally pretty good to us.
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually, a lot of seniors using this.
Well, aren't we just trying to get those 5 items that we were talking about to get a quote so we can see how they fit?
And that was just part of this too, to look at that.
We just need to
add it all in.
I mean, it was with them having to put new gravel every time, it's hard to, you know, plow it and stuff. I mean, we'll have to do it someday. I'm not saying we have to do it this year, but we're gonna have to do it someday.
No, this is just like get an idea where we're at. Because like I told Mike when he asked me at first, I told him probably 50,000. So it's pretty close. We're gonna do a heavy duty parking lot. I mean, it's not like somebody's driveway for 4 inches of asphalt. We're going heavy duty because of the garbage trucks. Because he pulls up to the dumpster, picks up, backs up, spins. So we don't want it just to crumble after a while, you know, in the winter months and stuff like that. So we're going with 6 inches, which would be 4 inches of base, 301 asphalt, and then 2 inches of top. And then like me and Mike was kind of discussing a little bit, and then you could actually put your parking lines in for people to park and get them to park the right way in the slight angles instead of I mean, you know, down the road. This was just a proposal to let everybody know kind of what we're looking at. So,
I mean, with the world coming back, this community center, I mean, it's usage is great. So.
it made it a little easier on me to plow.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt just to have some information.
No, you know, the numbers on the usage and stuff that they see.
Right. It could be a good report from Parks.
Yeah.
All right,
But that-
anything else for roads?
That does me.
All right.
You guys did a great job.
Parks and Rec.
I got it,
You got it? Okay.
if you're ready. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
Yeah, no, just,
So I got a report from Erin here. First item on there was met with Crystal. She met with Crystal and they went over what she already discussed at the beginning of the meeting, which was the grant application process. They did hold she held the baby animals program Friday, March 18th. They had 15 plus in attendance, which I would say was more than we've had for some other programs.
That's
So
great.
said that went great. She met with Cindy Wieduck, founder of Let's Grow Together Coalition, which aims at educating children and families about food sustainability through gardening. So it'll probably tie into the same program. The upcoming programs will be Friday, March 25th at Lions Park, Geocaching 101. Worldwide Treasure Hunt. So I'll try to get some more information so we can post that out or have her post that. Don't ask me the details, I'm just reading. So treasure hunt at Lions Park. Next week on Tuesday, March 29th, Portage Soil and Water will be speaking at the Talk Around Town as guest speakers. First one will be focused on gardening for birds and butterflies. This will be at the community center from 6 to 7:30. And that is what she had. If anybody, which one of you is going to do a post this week?
I will.
Here you go.
Okay.
Hey, would you mind talking to her and see if she can maybe put us I'm anxious to see the numbers of usage for the community center. I'm sure they have.
From Aaron?
Any of them. They're just, I mean, how many, last year was a tough year, but I'd be anxious to know how many times it was.
Yes, we can do that. I have no idea.
Just have some kind of.
What's getting rented or not on that.
Yeah, let us know what our numbers are so far this year.
All right. Anything else for parks?
Looking good.
I will say I talked to Brian. He updated the website, found the error that was in there that was not allowing you to cycle forward in the calendar. So now you should be able to use the website calendar to see parks events.
Oh, wow, I can just go on there and probably look and see.
Yeah, because only parks sponsored events.
Oh, okay, but not the.
So the rental calendar is up and running also for the parks. So, but what we had was, the issue was, because you had asked me, is Brimfest on the website? I went to look and you couldn't get to it. There was an error code in there. So Brian has fixed that. So now you can cycle through the entire year. So that's been fixed. And then under parks, our booking calendar is now live. So if you want to book a building, you can actually do that online and pay with the credit card online.
So they have the shelters and everything?
Yep, the shelters, cemetery plots can be paid for on there. We have everything kind of set up with a digital marketplace now. So
Well, it's kind of an FYI about that. This is the Square app right here. We had 3 community center reservations since the 11th. So the 11th, 14th, and the 16th, we had 3 reservations and paid for online, so we all have them.
So that just eliminated the need for people to come into the office to book.
That's good. Hey, the other thing, I mean, weren't we gonna be buying some grills and stuff? I mean, wasn't that?
I had asked for that 2 years ago. I don't know where
They're already bought.
Are they?
Yeah, we already got those. Yeah.
Where are they at?
The shelters?
They picked them up with the picnic tables, right?
I was looking at something. What's up?
The grills.
The
Did you
grills.
get those when you picked up the picnic tables?
I'm pretty sure they came
I think
together.
it was somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember, because all I got in my shop right now is them doggy trash bag things.
Because there's supposed to be a grill going at the
I'll look
pavilion.
back. I swear we ordered a
At
couple.
the Carter?
Yeah, right by the playground equipment up at Cranberry Creek. We were supposed to have some grills put out so people could utilize those shelters.
Plus they came in late in the season.
Park
'Cause
Pavilion got rented.
some of the stuff, like I told Cassie, I wasn't putting out late because there wasn't a usage for it at that time. But I don't know if she's got them somewhere else or not. I'll have to look at my shop.
If I'm remembering right, we ordered picnic tables and we ordered grills together, and the guys took everything down. So check.
So where were the picnic tables for Carter?
Those were for, where did we end up putting those? Now I'm drawing a blank on those. We put those over here
We
and
put
moved
them
the
at
wood
the-
ones over to
You're
the
right.
dog
We
park.
left the ones we bought here at the Carter
Right.
because of the expense of them. We moved the wooden ones from the Carter over to Cranberry.
So all of our shelters have.
Yeah, they all have seats.
Did they redo the picnic tables in the back pavilion by the baseball fields too? Because those were falling apart.
No,
We have not
we didn't.
purchased those.
Okay.
Them, we actually fixed some of them back up again, tightened them down, put some screw, they're in good shape. They just need stained or something right now, one's
Okay.
back there.
That's a good community project then.
Yeah, we just gotta keep up with Cassie's projects that she had planned, just to make sure.
Well, like the doggy bags she wanted us to put out for dog waste, I'm not putting them out until they're done with the walking trail. Because where she wanted them put at, I'm not gonna have a guy try to go around a dog waste can.
Oh, so she wanted them along the trail?
Right, there's gonna be a couple on the trail and then one in the park.
Okay.
So, I think it was
Cranberry
3 of them. Huh?
Cranberry Creek?
Cranberry Creek's already got them.
She's talking about putting them on this hiking trail back here.
The asphalt one.
Well, I didn't know if we're talking the trail that she wants to put over there.
No, we're not, we're just adding some posts to that,
Okay.
but we're not.
Then lastly, has the power been installed yet and
No,
connected?
not when I looked at it. I
Nope,
went up there last week.
it's actually the
Only
conduit.
been 2 years.
The
I'm telling you,
conduit,
the answer's
the
gonna
conduit
be
going to
ask
that
for
road, so.
forgiveness after we hook it up. We can't get anybody to call.
We don't have a meter.
Well, we have a meter on the.
No, they
It's on a
don't,
pole.
they they can't hook, there's no meter on it yet. That's
That's
all
what we're
wiring
waiting on is the
is
electric company to put the meter in. We have two, our soccer fields and the dog park. We had electric ran to it a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and the electric company is not coming up with the meter. No, our contractor wired it all to the box. The electric company needs to plug it in. Okay. Yeah, we got,
You can always.
Well, we actually,
Need any help?
Can't you just hook it up and then we'll get one little Ohio Edison come yell at us later?
yeah,
actually the dog park, the conduit has to be moved from one pole to another.
How far?
I'm not positive on that. That kind of scat, but the one is, what happened was when the company did put the electric in for the shelter, they put it on the one pole, and 2 days later they came and drilled a new pole and put it here.
From First Energy?
Yeah, or the phone company, somebody put a new pole in, and then First Energy said, oh no, it's gonna be this pole. So the problem is all the work they did was too short then to bring it to the other pole, so they were, I heard them talking, I'm not positive, I can't remember, but I heard them talking about even taking it from this pole, and moving it to a different pole closer where you could hurry in, you know what I mean? So.
It's a, I just think we need to do it and let them come yell at us if they ever figure out we did it.
yeah, you can't connect without the meter. That's the problem. We gotta get First Energy to put the meters in.
Yeah, I finally
Not
got them out
running
to
the
the
light.
fields. It has to come from
I
them.
think this should be a story for Wendy from the Port of Chicago. From the Port of, Wendy always watches this.
Yes.
So, Wendy,
Call Mike Kostensky.
Yeah.
great story.
All right, well, I just wanted to get an update on that too, because that's been a long.
Oh, yeah, it's still
All
out
the
there.
time looking.
It's almost a joke now when you ask, we call and no one ever.
Well, I almost feel like we should delay it just a little bit because the pavilion's gonna need a meter also. So maybe we should get the pavilion up so they can put all
Maybe
three.
you need to put the order in for the pavilion now,
But there you go.
or we could put candles at all these facilities. So, okay.
All right. Anything else for Parks and Rec?
No.
Hearing none, we'll go into cemetery. We have 7 deeds that were signed. Any other comments or updates on cemetery?
Yeah, most of those deeds were for the columbarium. And I'm very, very pleased to see that the community is receiving that opportunity and taking advantage of that. And the one thing I really like about it is the township has a price of $800 for a niche. And I'm really pleased to see that's moving along really well.
So we have 8 now, right? 7 or 8?
Yep.
That's good.
So they come out and fix the door that broke.
Okay, good.
Well, the other thing too, we're just still waiting back. We talked at the last meeting, Nick, you weren't here, about the land behind the cemetery and the acquisition of that. So Mark Cadetti's working on that, and we just haven't got an answer back with what the price per acre was and what discount we get.
Can we have cemetery do a rough calculation on how many plots you can fit on an acre? And
We were
then,
actually gonna go yesterday, but it started raining, so we were gonna go today. We just need to walk back and get the area that we definitely want to have, and then get additional areas, and then ask how many plots can go on.
Dave and I talked about this yesterday, and there's something we really need to look into. I mean, it's just gonna take so much fill. Bring it up. Dave had a good point. How long does that fill have to sit before you can start using it as cemetery land?
yeah.
Well,
So, I
that's
mean,
half
there's-
of the land.
there's-
The other half is
So there's
good.
some big questions.
Well, I could give a call to the Ohio Cemetery Association. I'm sure they could give us an answer. I'll
Well,
do
that fill area is probably 2 or 3 of the acres that are north. But if you go on the other area, that's that little nook that's there, or cove, or what do you want to call it, that will need to get filled. That's probably 4 or 5 acres that's there behind the Methodist church, but it's going up to the north. So if we bought all those acres, which I'm not saying we do or not, that might involve that. Maybe we just buy the 4 that are up there.
Yeah, I mean, because Dave was saying, we're gonna all be retired by the time that thing's filled up with soil that we need to fill that.
Right, but the only issue that we're running into is we feel we have like 7 years, and the cemetery's gonna be full.
Well,
We're
now
gonna
if
have to shut it.
Now if we put more columbariums in,
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I would just like to
how
see,
high can we go?
The columbariums.
You can get 6 or 8 of those pillars
And
in
that's
the area.
and then you can do another section of
Well, we
the
had
wall
plans
like you're
for
talking
that.
about.
I was talking
We
about
had that
We get 4
built.
on that.
I was talking to
Four.
Dave about looking into the possibility of the old cemetery to see what we could actually really do there. I mean, what if it would be,
The
what if,
west lawns there?
yeah, what if we buy some of that farmland next door?
You're talking the west lawns.
The very old one, the one off of mine.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, Dave said we'd have to do something with a turnaround for a thing, but we really don't know how many spots we still have left there.
But I thought that was officially closed though by, you'd have to take some procedure with some cemetery
Yeah, it's
boards to
been-
get it
Yeah,
back
I
open.
don't know enough of the history, but I mean, if we could, who knows, if you buy some acres from the farm next door. I don't know, you know, we just have to keep all options open.
Right, well, but we do need to figure our options here because it's getting to the point where we're filling up.
Right. I would just like to see how many we can fit on an acre, and then what is our average purchase of actual usage per year? Like, because we have the historical data. So, you know, hey, we sell 100 plots a year, or do we sell 1,000 plots a year? And how many can we fit?
That
on?
one
Well, you know,
section-
COVID came along and bumped it up. But I did some research on that with Rochelle. We have over 6,000 people over there buried currently. We have, as of maybe a year and a half ago, we had 1,500 in the ground burial spots left.
Mhm.
So that's gonna fill up. I mean, even if we can make it 5 years is what we have over there. It's gonna be tough.
Well, it's just one of those things we have
Gotta be a
to
calculation.
figure out where it's gonna run out
Right.
of space and
Right.
then we have to deal with that.
Right, but I think for the board to make a good decision, we need to know how many you can fit on an acre,
Sure.
what the average sale is.
Well, we
see
need to
what
know
we
how much
project,
it's gonna cost too.
and then
since
how
we're
much
still-
it costs to see what the cost per.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on that. That's when I was talking about those 5 pieces that we needed to get together. That's one of them. We need to get all those together to see what they all
Right,
cost.
but some pieces are gonna probably have to move faster than others, because, for example, the pavilion, you know, builders are already saying July, we need to get this.
So that
out
one's
for-
fine. It's the other big one. So that's the one that couldn't fall before all the rest of them got figured out.
Right.
So,
Well, I think we'll just have to get all of it before the board and make a decision what we feel is
okay.
most important.
Well, hopefully, I'm gonna keep asking Mike to call Marcadetti every day until I
I mean,
hear back from him.
as a board member personally, just, this is me speaking, I can't wait for them to not get us an answer till August, September, October on that land. I mean, either they want to do it or they don't, and it's got to be a reasonable price.
Well, by the sounds of it, the new issue is the owners now, right?
It's the Pitts family.
Yeah, because now.
And then, you know, their attorney is involved, it's not them. There's 49 acres for sale back in there. Most of the soils are bad. You got 15 to 20 acres on the west end next to Don Warco, which is all wetlands. I mean, complete wetlands. It's unusable. And then you go into, there's a back portion that ties into a lot where the assisted living center at one time was proposed, and then there's a vacant lot up off a card. That might go together and be a buildable lot at some point in time, but that's way above what we need. And if you're looking, to purchase, a certain portion of it, like say 15 acres, we have to make sure that either Warco buys it or Skipper Group buys it or something, because we can't create a landlocked spot back in there by our purchase. The other thing you have to look at is if you only go 2 to 3 acres out, and we do that, with the green space thing, then you're looking at fill and retaining walls, because it's an 8 to 10 foot drop in there. So, what we discussed last time was access roads off of Talmadge, things like that. We're working on those.
Google says 1,000 grays per acre is average. Google.
Well, we'll have, what's his name from, is that Brownie from Portage Marble? We'll have him.
He does.
Yeah, we'll get a professional to tell us. Not that Google's not right, but.
They're pretty close on the
He's
fence.
probably gonna look up
Anything
Google.
you read on the internet is right, so.
Brian will probably look it up on Google. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he'll probably do the same thing.
So that's all we have for that. I just want to keep you posted.
All right, anything else for cemetery? Hearing none, we'll go into fiscal.
All right, Nick, you have
Yeah.
the resolution there. It's long. I don't know if you want to just put it through a synopsis. and then
Yeah,
we'll
I'm
put
just
it
gonna
in there.
do the
It's 6
first
pages
part of
long.
it. Yeah, because otherwise people will throw stuff at me.
Well, and what it is, just to kind of give you a heads up and everybody else, it's the ARP funding that we're getting from the federal government. There's a process in how we have to do it. And the first one is that we have to accept it. So this is being accepted.
This is the first one.
Correct. Then the second ones are when we go back and purchase items, they have to go through that same resolution format. It's not like it is now where we can just pass a resolution and spend the money. It has to be, or you couldn't just let the fire chief out of a blanket go spend the money.
Right.
Every item has to be listed.
Yes.
And again, that's a lot of these items that we're talking about are from this funding.
And this is, we had already accepted the ARP funds in 2021, but we have to re-accept them under this new piece because Congress and the Treasury has changed the definition of the usage of those funds. They cannot be, the biggest change is they cannot be used for salaries at all, where the original COVID funds could be. That's one of the major changes there. All right. So I'm going to make a motion that states, be it resolved by the Township Trustees of Brimfield Township, whereas this date, March 23rd, 2022, Nicholas Koya moved the adoption of the following resolution, whereas the township has received a distribution of monies, the ARPA funds from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, ARPA or the act, and whereas Congress passed the act effective March of 11th, 2021, and whereas Section 603 created the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, which, among other things, appropriated money to cities, non-entitlement units of local government, and counties to mitigate the fiscal effects stemming from public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus COVID-19. I need a second to accept this.
And then we will actually insert that entire resolution. So if anybody wants to read that in a week, it'll be on the computer system.
Yes.
So they can, well, 2 weeks.
Yeah, it has to get approved by the board.
Yep.
In writing.
Yep.
All right, so roll call for acceptance of the ARPA funds.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
And motion passed.
So now the next process would be if we decide to spend any ARPA funds, we would use a similar resolution and input that because each expenditure has to be by resolution, not by blanket PO.
Right. So if we had 5 items, we'd have to do that 5 times.
Correct. Any other questions or anything else, John, for fiscal?
No, that's it.
Any questions for fiscal?
Nope.
All right, hearing none. I see no executive sessions today. We will open up the floor for the good of the order for Brimfield Township for any last comments, questions, or concerns.
Oh, I have a comment.
Okay.
The first Saturday in May, we're having a Brimfield Community Cleanup Day at Edson Park. And you can bring in your not trash, but you can bring in things you'd like to get rid of, like your broken down washing machine and things like that. No charge. Just bring it down from 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It's open to anybody.
Tires, couches. All those.
Anybody have any comments about that? I just want to make sure everybody knows it's available.
Yeah, we should advertise that.
Yeah, that would go through whoever's doing Facebook, Rochelle or Aaron.
That's at Lions Park.
That helps out. So do you want to follow up with Michelle then?
Yeah,
to
I'll give her a buzz.
advertise that again?
Yeah, I'll give her a buzz.
Anything else? Anything else for the good order? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
I will second. Roll call.
You know, those in favor, Mike? Yes. Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
We are done at 9:52.